Hi everybody, today's lesson is going to be on unit rates with fractions. We call them complex fractions. Open up your unit rates foldable and this is what the inside should look like, or this is the notes that we're going to go through. Okay, let's start with this scenario right here. I don't even know if this is realistic, but we have a biker that's going 7 miles in 15 minutes. If the question was, what is the speed in miles per hour? This is where we would need to find a unit rate. One thing that I want you to make note of that's very important is be careful with time. Sometimes they'll try to mix hours and minutes, and you need to convert those before you start the problem. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So when we think about converting minutes to hours, you can think about this as a ratio, 15 minutes per 60 minutes. That's going to give you 1/4 of an hour. If you look at it like on a clock, so you think about 0, 15, 30, 45, and then we get back up to 60. So this is what the minutes look like. 15 is 1/4 of that. So back to unit rate. Remember, time is usually in the denominator. So our hours here would be in the denominator. And we know that we're going 7 miles per 1/4 of an hour. What we have right here is a complex fraction. I like to think about this as 7 divided by 1/4. That's what you would plug into your calculator. Or you can do it without a calculator. Keep, change, flip. 7 over 1 times 4 over 1. I also want to show you what this looks like in a table. So if we think about miles and hours, we have 7 miles, 1/4 of an hour, and we want to get to 1 hour right here. So this is 1/4 times 4 would give us 1. Whatever we do to the denominator, we do it to the numerator, times 4, and we're going to get 28. So any one of those ways will give you 28 miles per hour. Super important. Don't forget the units. Okay, let's look at the next example here. We can zoom over here. We have a little map right here. So Omar knows Chris lives 3/4 of a mile away. How far is the school from Omar's house? So right here, Omar knows that Chris lives 3/5 of a mile away. On a map, it's 3/4 of an inch. So the question is, how far is the school from Omar's house? So right here, how far is this? Now we know it's 2 inches, but we want to know what it is in miles. I'm going to set up a table. So we are comparing miles and inches. And let's think about the pairs that we have. We know that 3/5 of a mile is equivalent to 3/4 of an inch. And we know that right here. 3/4 of a mile in real life is the same as 3/4 of an inch on the map. So now the question is, what is 2 inches? So let's start with our unit rate. I'm going to use a different color here. We want to know what 1 inch is equivalent to. So right here, to get from 3/4 to 1, we can divide by 3/4. If we divide by 3/4 right here, to make it proportional, we need to divide by 3/4 right here. We can plug that into our calculator. Let me write this over here. So we can plug 3/5 divided by 3/4 as a complex fraction. It would look like this crazy thing right here. When we plug that into our calculator, we get 4/5. So this is important because now we know that 1 inch is 4/5 of a mile. Well, we want to know what 2 inches is. So we can keep going. We can keep going in our table right here. 2. Let me make the table a little bit bigger. So how do I get from 1 to 2? Well, I multiply by 2. So that I'm going to do that same thing over here. Multiply by 2. That's going to give me 1 3/5 of a mile. 1 3/5 of a mile. Mile. Okay, let me show you the alternative method here with a complex fraction. Complex fraction. This is a fraction within a fraction. We're going to set this up the same way that we would a unit rate. So we're going to take our miles divided by the inches. Again, I like to write this out vertically. 3/5 divided by 3/4. Keep change, flip. 3/5 times 4/3. I can cross simplify here to get 4/5. My units are still the same, miles per inch. From here, we want to know what 2 inches is, so we're going to take 4/5 mile per inch. We're going to multiply that by 2 inches, or 2/1, and that's going to give us 8/5, or 1 3/5 miles per 2 inches. So there's 2 ways of solving that. The last thing I want to go over, sometimes this is a little challenging with these types of problem, is deciding how to set up a rate. So for example, this is a fill in the blank. You can fill in this blank with whatever you want. Mrs. Kibler can make 10. I can't zoom in. I don't know why it's not working. Hold on. Okay. Mrs. Kibler can make, let's start over again. I'm going to do scrunchies. I can make 10 scrunchies in 5/6 of an hour. My little scrunchie. How long does it take Mrs. Kibler to make 1 scrunchie? When we think about this, we want time per scrunchie. Per scrunchie means that the scrunchie is going to go in the denominator. You write that down. You should write that down. Per scrunchie mean that's going to go in the denominator, and that's how I'm figuring this out. So if I were to set this up right here, I'm going to use a table again. Oops. Time and scrunchie are the 2 things that we're comparing. So that's 5/6, and that's 10 for the scrunchies. So again, I want to know what 1 scrunchie is. This is to get from 10 to 1, you're dividing by 10. So I'm going to divide by 10 in the numerator as well, or the top of this. 5/6, let me just write that down. 5/6 divided by 10 in my calculator is going to give me 1/12. So that means it's going to take me 1/12 of an hour to make 1 scrunchie. Now here's the other side of this. What if the question was how many, again, I'm using scrunchies, how many scrunchies can Mrs. Kibler make in 2 hours? This time we are comparing it per hour, or per 2 hours in this case. So when you think about per hour, this time the time is going to go in the denominator. So when we set up our table, we can set up scrunchie per hour, or time. So now I know I have 10 scrunchies in 5/6 of an hour. When I set this up, I want to know how many scrunchies can I make in 1 hour. 5/6 divided by 5/6 will give me 1, so I'm going to divide by 5/6 up here. Again, that looks like 10 divided by 5/6, or 10 over 5/6. When we plug that into my calculator, I get 12. Well, this question wanted to know 2 hours. There's a little bit more to that. So I can keep going. How do I get from 1 to 2? Well, I multiply by 2, which means I need to multiply by 2 up here, and I get 24. So my answer is going to be 24 scrunchies in 2 hours.